Thank you for joining us now. Past sector stakeholders have hailed President Muhammadu Buhari's decision to sign a constitutional amendment to allow states to license, generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. Recall Buhari recently signed into law the constitutional amendment allowing states in the country to license, generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. By signing these bills, state houses of assembly and judiciaries now have constitutionally a guaranteed financial independence, while railways have moved from exclusive legislative list to the concurrent list. Well, the Senate had in July 2022 passed the Electricity Bill 2022 to allow state and individuals to generate and distribute electricity. Now, the Senate said the bill will help policy and regulatory measures to improve power generation, transmission, and distribution capabilities of the sector. All right, let's get talking now. Adetayo Adigbimle is convener and executive director, Power Up Nigeria. He joins us virtually now. Thank you. Good to see you, Adetayo. It's been a while, and it's good to see you.
Thanks for having me once again. Thank you. Good morning, Nigerians. It's always a pleasure to be on your program.
It's all right. Interesting. So I needed to speak to these. This development with the fact that this new amended constitution will allow states to generate, transmit and distribute their own power. And so how much of opportunities are there with this development? Let's start from there.
Well, it is how would I put it? This is a development that I myself and my organization, we celebrated, because this is something that we have been pushing for. In fact, we've been writing to the federal government since 2015, 2016, to say, hey, we have states that can come up with their resources and, and play their part, their role. And we can't say because we want to continue keeping the national grid, we'll continue to keep some sector of the country back, hold them back, because for others to catch up. It is natural. Even two twins don't grow at the same pace. It is very hard before you see two twins growing up at the same pace. So you can't say because one is going at faster rates, but you keep keeping it down for the rest that are coming behind. That's why then we are pushing for it. But now that this outgoing government has signed it into law, removing power from the exclusive, because before it was in the concurrent to before,
right.
But there was a provision then that said that states can only focus on unserved areas where the national grid does not get to, which kind of gives a kind of a gray area, to that interpretation. But now that they've removed that clause to now say states can now play full parts or role in the power sector, it opens up a very big opportunity for investment. It opens up a very big opportunity for states with funds to even now transact. So we're saying, for instance, that by the time Lagos State, for instance, and apparently Lagos State is like the number one because they've been out of the block since. In fact, when we were writing then, one of the letters we wrote to the former Minister of Power, Works and Housing was to address him to say, hey, you had issues with Lagos State Energy Board when you are trying to do some things. So as now that you are coming in as a Minister of Power, what we expected you to do was to instigate a constitutional reform. So apparently, he took our advice then. He didn't give us any feedback, but you can see now that the foundation that we laid then actually has now yielded, fruits today. So we're talking about the Lagos State, for instance, that is very fast out of the block. They already have their Lagos State energy policy. They're already talking about regulation. Their regulatory commission already. They're already talking about. There are a lot of documents, research that has been done, that has been released, along this line. So it's just for them to just come on.
Hello, Mr. Adewinle. Well, I guess there's a distortion there already. So I would like to hear your thoughts on more of that in terms of opportunities. But I also need, okay, I guess you're back now.
Yeah, okay, I'm with you. I've always been with you, and I was speaking.
Okay, please go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead. I can. Please.
Hello?
Yes, please go ahead. Go ahead. I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. Can you hear me? If you can hear me, I would
Yes,
like
I
you to.
can.
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to put off my video now.
I mean,
Maybe.
you're live already, so you can go ahead.
Okay.
We can hear you.
All right. So, as I was saying, now we have a state like Lagos State that is already out of the blocks with insane. I mean, they have all the documents, they have done all the research for anybody that wants to come into the sector from Lagos State. Now, what we are saying is, if Lagos State can develop their own energy market,
Right.
you're going to compete with the people that are already in operation. So, for instance, I mean, I was having a conversation recently with the Lagos State Commissioner, and I was telling him, you can imagine Lagos State with what they have, with the IPPs in Ikeja, Alausa, running a parallel distribution line from Alausa to all. A lot of people are going to switch over if they are not satisfied with the services that Ikeja Electric is giving them. On the reverse, Ikeja Electric too will not want to lose their customers. So what do? They increase their services. Now, a lot of people are finding it very strange. I mean,
So just a moment. So what you're saying
Yes.
is that there's going to be a lot of competition.
Absolutely.
Yes, with these opportunities, there's going to
Competition.
be a lot of competition. Just before we get, I mean, further on that competition and how it's going to play out, let's talk more how the states, at the state level, when they generate, what is going to be
Yes.
their relationship between the, national grid? Is there going to be a connection, sort of?
Okay, now you see, confirmed documents, right? Or regulation or any handshake yet, because everything is still fresh. Part of the things that we are going to recommend is let each state develop their market on their own, right? But you see, if excess from the gencos, they can buy it up and distribute it to their customers. And if it is the reverse is the case, if Lagos State has excess, they can sell it to neighboring states or neighboring.
Okay. Well, I guess I will just have to take a break here now. And when we can establish a connection with Adetayo, we'll come back to talk about. Okay, I guess we have it now. So finish on that thought, Adetayo. So can quickly take a break. Finish on that thought, please.
Okay, so we are going to have a situation where there's going to be an interplay. We are going to have states with excess energy selling to the national grid, or on the reverse, if you don't have enough energy, you can actually now buy from the national grid. So it's a good development. It's going to build it's going to build a good market. It's going to be a competitive market, and it's going to build a market where everybody can interplay. We are just going to have more players in the sector, and it's going to be at a very good. It's going to be a very good development for Nigeria.
Okay. When we return from this short break, of course, we'll talk about more opportunities. Can individual, take place, or will I say take part or play in these market with these opportunities that this amended constitution has provided? Can individual investor play in this market? So that will be a next point when we return from this short break. Please stay with us. Well, we've been talking about the power sector reforms, and of course, we'll be looking at expected impact as states set to generate, transmit their own electricity as a result of the constitutional reforms, signed by the president sometime last month. So, Adetayo Adegbinle, convener and executive director of Power of Nigeria, is still here with us. Thank you for your time. Just before we went on break, we're going to talk about the opportunities and with the fact that can individual play in this market? Yes, with states, of course, has the resources, all the resources in their coffer or at their disposal to play in this market. But how about an individual investors? Because what we understand by this is that these opportunities should extend or should encourage more investors to come in.
Yes, absolutely. The idea is to encourage more investors to come in. We're going to have a more open market. What we're going to have now is we're going to have a situation where the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission is continuing in existence, continues giving regulations on the national policy, right? So all the licenses that they've already issued, I want to believe will continue to be in existence. So I mean, we're still going to have the level disco structure that we have, but we're going to now have a situation where a state like Lagos State or Akwa Ibom, for instance, at least I'm sure of those two because they already have some local development along that line. We're now going to have a situation where with Lagos State Electricity Regulatory Commission. So if, for instance, you are into metering and Lagos State decides to distribute power to end users, we're going to have a situation whereby they will have to meter their customers as well. So if you're into meter manufacturing, it's going to be a very good opportunity for you to come in at that point and provide meters for Lagos State distribution line. Of course, we're going to, well, from where I stand, what I've loved to see more, and again, I have mentioned this in passing to the Lagos State Commission of Energy, is for Lagos State to build infrastructure and concession them out to, people that are interested in running it. So if they decide to go that route eventually, they are definitely good. That means however they decide to break Lagos State down, maybe into sub-regions or to whatever, you can take up the part where you think you can supply power to and supply power to that location and make sure that you make your collection as long as you pay Lagos State upfront for whatever it is or whatever agreement that you have, So there, and also we're going to have opportunities in equipment manufacturing, in designs. Electrical engineers are going to have to come to fore to come and play a very big role. Economists, right?
Yes.
Yeah, economists. We have to come in. Sorry, that thing gets confusing sometimes. The economists have to come in at some place to look at what we are running and say, is this going to be a proper business model? Is it going to be a profitable one for both the state and whoever that is investing in it? So it opens up a very big gamut to the power sector, even at the bigger end, even at the present national grid that we are running. There are a lot of opportunities that abound in that sector. Metering we're still way below 50% metering of Nigerians, so opportunities are still there. I was talking to somebody just a few minutes before we started this conversation in Abeokuta and in Ijebu. They've not had light for 2 years just because IBDC could not provide them with transformer or replacement transformer for this thing. Now, it is not just that those people are suffering from lack of power.
Right.
IBTC also is making losses because they cannot. I mean, you have customers that are ready to pay you, you're not servicing them. How does that work? But imagine Ogun State waking up tomorrow, building infrastructure in such areas. Ijebode is not an off-grid place, for God's sake. So you can imagine Ogun State coming up and building infrastructure in such an area, and somebody takes it up and provide power for these people. They will pay him. And
okay. So what you're saying is that
massive investment opportunity that abounds.
So what you're saying is that we should expect power supply to improve with this development. Hello, can you hear me, Adetayo? I was asking what you're saying in summary is that we should expect power supply to improve since there's going to be fair competition and a lot of people, investors playing in the market, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I said, let me use a place that I'm familiar with as an example for you. Not many Nigerians are aware that Jos City has 2 distribution networks that service them. And one of them has been in existence since 1929. Right? Jos, arguably, I don't have any counter arguments to this, but if you have, bring it up. But Jos City is most likely the most metered place in Nigeria.
That's the Plateau State capital.
The Plateau State capital is probably the most metered place in Nigeria as we speak right now, and is most likely the only place where you can get 24 hours power supply every time of the day in Nigeria. Yet these 2 distribution networks exist
Okay.
Simultaneously.
Okay, let's wrap it up before we leave. There are potential challenges, however, with this development. No doubt. The issue of
Absolutely.
capacity of each state to manage, to manage their own, that is the capacity of the state to manage effectively what they are producing per time. And there's also the
Yes.
issue. There's also the issue of jurisdiction over area, so that can arise between federal government and the state. So how do we harmonize all of this as we wrap up now?
Well, you see, again, I think one industry that I did not mention that is going to open up opportunities for them is the legal industry. Now, the lawyers are going to come in to try and do a bit more of definition of this. But since the Constitution itself is one that says there is no more delineation between state and federal, we won't have issues with land, with boundaries and everything. The infrastructure as is will stay as is. The states will build infrastructure that's going to best suit their situation. Now, what we are going to see is a situation where nobody stays in Abuja to tell you what's happening in Magboro. Magboro has not had light in how many years? After they had light, the light is still not stable, and nobody is telling or is being forceful to say this is what you should do to fix the light there. Right? Nobody's going to stay there. Now, at the closer level, at the state level, you'll be able to drive down there and supervise what is happening. But my only other hope on the other end for me is that I don't hope the Nigerian factor does not now come over, because the state are supposed to provide pipe-borne water to houses. They have not been able to do. I doubt there's any state presently doing that in Nigeria. So we also have to consider, while this is a good opportunity, we have to consider the people problem that we have in Nigeria. We need to consider leadership issues that we have, and we will be able to put in people with dreams. And I keep saying this, we need people that can dream in this country. Right. You cannot tell me that giving palliative of Indomie is the best you can do for your people. We need people that can dream big. Somebody dreamed up the Burj Maraj in Abu Dhabi. Somebody dreamed up look at the Liberty statue in America till date. That's landmark. Imagine what year it was done, and imagine one of the biggest infrastructure there. We need to be able to dream big and have somebody with passion to go all out to try and achieve it. We need all these kind of things. We don't need people that we don't need political patronage in solving our problems. So people problem is a very big, will also be a big impediment in providing the solution that we need. But I hope that we are able to overcome that.
Okay. It's all right. A good place to rest the conversation for today. Thank you. We want to thank you for your time. Adedayo Adegbenle.
You're very welcome, Kingsley.
Executive Director, Power Up Nigeria. Thank you for coming on board.
Thank you very much, Kingsley.
Yeah. Still to come after the break. Well, Brent crude futures fell 74 cents. That's about 0.9% to $84.25 in early trading at the close of Thursday. Well, we'll bring you details and more after this time out. Please stay with us.